Many of you have heard us talk about Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth, the supplement that helps women maintain optimal hormone levels, with over 50,000 glowing reviews from women worldwide and 98% saying they recommend it to friends and family. Now you can take those results even further by pairing it with their prebiotic collagen protein, which helps restore gut lining integrity, promoting overall hormone levels. Now, I've struggled with occasional digestive issues, and since taking the prebiotic collagen protein, I've noticed a real lift in my energy and overall well-being. Happy Mammoth is dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Right now, you can try prebiotic collagen protein and Hormone Harmony risk-free and get 15% off your entire first order with the code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
With the holidays right around the corner, it's time for me to start planning all the festive meals and treats for the season. Frozen Washington red raspberries are the ultimate holiday shortcut to flavor, as they are picked at peak ripeness and frozen within hours to lock in their bright, sweet tart taste. I love raspberries in my desserts, and boy does this cran raspberry pecan tart sound delicious. Grown by passionate farmers in Washington state, they're frozen with care to ensure top quality and food safety, and it always feels good to support local American farmers. And here's the best part. They're always in season. When you buy American-grown frozen raspberries, you're getting fresh off the field flavor all year long. You can find them at Costco, Kroger, Meijer, and Winco Foods. Make sure to look for product in the U.S. on the bag. Check out True Fruit Mars Hyper Chilled Chocolate-Covered Raspberries and Smucker's Raspberry Jam. Want to learn more details on where to find American frozen red raspberries plus recipe ideas and cooking tips? Head to redraz.org. That's redrazz.org. You'll find participating retailers as an inspiration for every meal, plus info on how these berries go from farm to freezer with quality you can taste.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of Dateable.
We are officially in soup weather, in pumpkin spice latte weather, in get cozy weather.
The week before Thanksgiving, we're going to have a special What We're Grateful For episode that hopefully will resonate with people. I think this time of year is really special because it does allow us to reflect, but it also brings up a lot of pressure too. I think sometimes the holidays have always been kind of a little pressure induced, especially maybe if you're not 100% at the place you want to be.
Yeah. And I love that I feel that less and less. Every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I get older, I think the pressure is less and less because, you just got to do what you got to do. But I have a guilty pleasure confession, which is kind of related to this. I've been rewatching 90210 from
my God,
the start.
I love that show. Yes.
Well, yeah. Ever since your Bachelorette, I kind of got on that bandwagon of I wonder what David Silver was up to back in the day. But rewatching it, Julie, okay, this is so wild, but their parents are just barely older than us.
And not surprised.
The issues they go through are so deep and heavy. In the first 5 episodes, we see Kelly's mom snorting cocaine in the bathroom, and Brenda and Brandon's mom, they're having an affair. Do you remember that episode? She
No,
kisses
I don't.
She kisses an old fling, a college fling.
I just want to point out
crazy.
How funny it is that you're watching this in your 40s, looking at it through those people's lens instead of the high schoolers, because I barely remember their storylines. Yeah,
I did not remember. I didn't care about their storylines at all because it wasn't relatable. But now these high school characters, well, first of all, they were never relatable to me. Okay, these are entitled LA kids. Like that was never relatable to me, but some of the drama was relatable. Who likes who, these love triangles. But now looking back and rewatching it, it is so entertaining to see it from the parents' lens, because now I think there were parents of teenagers who were part of the writing team, because they talk about this, like what happens when your kids leave the house, empty nesters. And then what happens when all you've been doing is like keeping up the Joneses. You have house, car, kids, your dog and all that. And then one day you wake up and you're feeling empty. So there's some like heavy topics they cover from the parents' point of view.
I think this means I need to do a rewatch over Thanksgiving break.
You do.
What I'm taking away from this.
It is the perfect Thanksgiving show.
Do I still have the DVDs? I used to have every DVD.
It's all on Paramount Plus. You can get Paramount Plus for free because they're desperate to get people on the platform. But
not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Yeah, you can get it all for free. You can stream it all from episode 1. But even if you've never seen 90210, just watch for the fashion, because it's all coming back. It's all coming back.
Oh my God. I need to rewatch. So I watched that show growing up with my mom, and it got a little spicy later, but rewatching it starts super wholesome. So I get now why I watched with her, and then I was like too far in by the time it made a turn.
The pilot episode is so wholesome. And then by third episode, they're talking about date rape and how one of the cheerleaders was getting raped in the parking lot. I'm like, what? I was watching this as a high schooler, not to mention Andrea Zuckerman is so old. Like, how was she able to get cast on the show? She was 15 years older than everybody else.
They all are so old. Luke Perry was like so old. All of them were.
In real life, she was 15 years older than everybody else on the show. I don't understand how she got cast.
So I have a few favorite episodes, but the one that's coming to mind is the egg episode. Do you remember that one? If not, you're in for a treat.
Is that the home ec one where like they have to take care of an egg?
No. You're in for a treat. I'll just leave it there.
Right. Yeah,
Listeners,
there.
if you're 90210 fans, you know what I'm talking about. If not, maybe we all need to do a collective binge over Thanksgiving.
We need a separate podcast. Just
to recap,
analyzing every episode. There's so many themes, you all, and they're so relevant today still. That show is not outdated other than the technology that they use.
So is there Kelly's mom got a divorce, right? And then she remarries David's dad.
Not yet.
There's like kind of not yet, but eventually there's like that second chance at love type of theme that's going on.
She has to go to rehab first.
Is that there any parents that are having like the midlife crisis of like, okay, I did everything right, did everything by the books, and now life isn't what I thought?
The Walshes.
The Walshes.
Yeah. They move from the suburbs to glamorous LA. They get this big house. The kids go to this fancy school, and the dad works 24/7. He's never home. And Cindy Walsh is by herself with her housekeeper, wondering, what am I doing with my life? I was meant for so much more. And that's why when she had this affair with this old fling, he's a photographer. And he's like, I see so much potential in you to have a life that you want. You're not meant for this life where you're basically prisoner. And she's like, but this is what we wanted. He's like, is it? Is it actually what you wanted? It's pretty deep.
This is actually pretty related to our episode today.
Super, super related. Yes. If Cindy Walsh were a real person in real life, she would be Ellecia Paine, our guest today.
I'm sure Ellecia would love that. But we have a really great guest for you all, because you all know that we love this concept of not just like falling into relationships or doing them the way that you're supposed to do it, because this is what happens. You become Cindy Walsh potentially, where you wake up one day and you're like, what's going on? And that doesn't mean like you can't rebuild and you can't like at that point design the love life you want. You absolutely can. But I think a common myth we've all been told is like it just all happens happens. Like you find the person, you do it, and then life goes on and live happily ever after. And the reality is that like relationships take intention to figure out what is it that we want. It takes collaboration. It takes building something proactively together. And we forget that. And we love this conversation with Ellecia because she's all about it. She is a sex, love, and relationship coach that helps people connect deeply to themselves and their partners while exploring relationships that don't fit the box. I love that.
Yes, and she is the host of the podcast called Nope, We're Not Monogamous. And you'll hear her whole story about going from monogamy to non-monogamy, but that's not the point of this interview. It's really about designing the love life that was meant for you. And I did read the statistic today that dating actually dating after 40, most people are dating for themselves and not a script of any sort. So if you feel like you're late or you're scrambling or feeling like your time has passed, no, it actually will get better with time. If you are like in your 40s or beyond, you get to date for you.
I love that so much. I mean, there's so many benefits of dating in your 40s, but even if you're dating in your 30s and you are feeling like these social narratives come in and societal pressures to do the thing by certain dates, this is a good reminder too. And I mean, Ellecia has a very powerful story. She talks about emotional abuse. So that is a trigger warning if that is something that, you know, just for people to have a heads up. But I think hearing these stories of like how you think everything is on the right track and like how your life can look so wonderful from the outside and perfect, and that doesn't always equate to what it's like on the inside. That to me, it's like really helpful to hear that. Not that we're like wishing this on people, but just to see like it's not all figured out. And just because you take X, Y, and Z step, it doesn't mean that like, you know, you'll never have a worry in your life again.
Yes. This episode of 90210, the learning
You're
from
like,
Cindy
keep
Walsh.
writing it back.
Because she doesn't run off with this guy, even though he's this glamorous photographer who can take her around the world. She doesn't run off with him because she grounded back to why am I in this marriage in the first place? And I think the why, we always talk about the dating why. There's also a relationship why. If you lose sight of that, then you start chasing and comparing instead of creating and building. And so she went back to her husband and said, we're in this together. We are in a marriage because it's us against the world. We are each other's number one, right? And he's like, yeah, you'll always be my number one person. And so she's like, okay, this guy may offer this glamorous life, this life that could have been mine. I intentionally designed this marriage so that we have the support system and that we can build it to whatever we want it to be. And I thought that was actually really beautiful because sometimes we lose sight of why are we in this in the first place. It's not to follow a script, but you want to create and build with someone.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think there's, you know, obviously emotional abuse or any abuse, that's a reason to get out. But a lot of times it's just routine. It gets boring.
Yes.
We don't put in the work. And if that's the case, you absolutely can rebuild. And it's never too late to design the love life that you want. So maybe you're single thinking about like, what do I want in a relationship? Or you're in a relationship that feels a little dead end or just not like it's, I don't know, going where you want it to go. I feel like putting in that work and effort. And I actually am like thinking of a friend and I remember going to you on this. A friend of mine like was like, what's your take on this? My friend is like with this person and, you know, she's like comparing him to an ex that she had and she's not like super excited about the relationship, but it's a good relationship. But yeah, we even did a whole episode like, should you stay or should you go based on like, what's the difference of a good relationship versus a great relationship? And I remember like my initial instinct is like, this isn't the right person for you. And I remember you were like, put in the effort, like put in all the effort you can to make it a great relationship. And if it still isn't that after, then you go, but like put in that effort first. And now this same person is married with a kid with this guy. And I asked my mutual friend, I was like, has things like changed? And she's like, yeah, it's like night and day. Like they just found this appreciation for each other and they just like built something super strong.
Intentionality. Wow. How powerful is that? We
Yeah.
can't expect to be in a relationship and just go with the flow. I really think it doesn't. I used to think that's how it works. You get in a relationship and you just
Yes.
like see where it goes. No, if you don't put the effort and intentionality behind it, it is going to be a lost ship. And you're going to be
Yeah.
navigating the waters for a long time in this land of confusion. But putting intentionality behind it, I love that outcome because even if the outcome is we're not right for each other, there's so much clarity in that.
But I think before you can make that change with someone, you do have to get clear about like, what is it I want in
Yes.
a relationship? What is possible? That's why we always point to our dating North Star exercise,
Mm-hmm.
because it is thinking about like, this like future in some ways of like, what is my vision? And then when you
Mm-hmm.
have a clear vision, it's easier to like find someone that fits it or not. You can like easily say like, does this person like, at least get to the baseline of what I'm looking for. So we
Mm-hmm.
always talk about, I feel like this one chapter of our book, Gaining Clarity, but perfect partner equation and dating North Star, like that alone to me are like complete game changers to figure out what you want.
Which, by the way, have you all gotten the book? Have you seen the big sale on Amazon? Because we're like, how did this happen? It's only $20 on Amazon. Now's the time. If you're looking for clarity, do this before the end of the year. Because of January, everyone's so motivated and they have all these goals and they want to see clarity, but then it feels overwhelming. Do it. Get ahead of the end of the year. Do it now. Get the book, start doing the exercises, even if you just do that one chapter, and then it'll help you align everything else for 2026. Wild
Yeah,
2026. Wow.
that's true. 2026 though, January is always go time. So I feel like getting
Yeah.
ahead of it and doing like that reflection and reading, and again, just such a cozy couple months coming up, like what better time? Or audiobook, maybe you
Yeah.
got those long plane rides or car rides.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
perfect. And we also have something else very exciting in the works, like something that we truly believe is game changing. It is taking what's happening in technology and using it to our power.
When we were talking about alignment, the why behind why Julie and I do Dateable is to help everyone design and find the love life that they want. That is the ultimate goal. And what has been challenging for us is the reach and our own scalability. We can't be everywhere at once and all the time. So this product that we're alluding to, or this new announcement, it's game changing in the way that it truly aligns to our why of why we're doing Dateable, and it brings our vision to life of being everywhere all the time all at once. That's not the name of the movie, but it is the name of our movie now.
So if you're interested on what this could be, there's multiple ways to find out. One is to tune in next week. We'll be doing a full reveal in next week's episode. The second is follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast. And third is to join our newsletter, which you can do through the website, dateablepodcast.com. But all of these ways, you could do all of them. They will reveal what we have in store for you all. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Before we get into it with Ellecia, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
As the air turns crisp and the holidays draw near, comfort becomes the best gift of all. And Quince delivers layers that last: sweaters, outerwear, and everyday essentials that feel luxurious, look timeless, and make holiday dressing and gifting effortless. And Quince has it all, from $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters made for everyday wear, denim that never goes out of style, silk tops and skirts that add polish, and down outerwear built to take on the season, perfect for gifting or upgrading your own wardrobe. Now, I know I live in warm Southern California, but I do love wearing cashmere, and the Quince short sleeve cashmere sweaters are my go-to. They're just the perfect layering piece, and they truly elevate every outfit. Step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last. From Quince. Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE. What's the one thing about your health you wish someone had told you years ago? Well, for me, it's how important the gut is. Truly, the gut is the foundation of overall health and vitality. It's not just about digestion. The gut affects everything from your energy levels and mood to weight management and even longevity. And while most gut supplements contain probiotics or probiotics and prebiotics at best, Bioma contains all three essential ingredients your gut needs. Visit gobioma.com/dateable today. That includes prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. Each ingredient is science-backed and third-party tested. Just take 2 capsules before breakfast and take the guesswork out of feeling your best. Visit gobioma.com/dateable today for an extra 15% off your order. That's gobioma.com/dateable and get an extra 15% off.
Okay, let's talk about designing the love life that works for you.
We love the idea of DIYing your own relationship because a relationship is this intimate formation between the people involved, and what works for some people may not work for others. And so we've been talking about how to DIY your love life, how to DIY your relationship, and we met someone who's actually lived those terms with her own relationship. Ellecia, thank you so much for coming on Dateable.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We're so glad to get into it with you. And I guess no other better place to start than your own story. Maybe you could share like your relationship history and how you went from a relationship that looked good on the outside to one that was actually fulfilling on the inside, or ones that were actually fulfilling on the inside.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Let's see where to start. So I was 23 when I got married the first time. And I was married monogamously for 13 years. We had, all the things that you expect to see in a good relationship. It was like checking all the boxes. We went to all the things together. We had a lot of passion, but there were a lot of things that were missing. Like, what was missing? So much.
You're like, where do I start?
The short story is we were married for 13 years monogamously, and that relationship came to a head because it was not fulfilling for me, because it was an abusive relationship. And so when we got divorced, I was like, God, I don't want to do that again. I don't, I don't want to live my life to match what somebody else's desires are, what somebody else's vision of a good relationship is. I was like, what do I want? I was like, well, I want to not be tied down figuratively. So I was like, I never want to be monogamous again. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know anybody who wasn't monogamous. I just knew that for me, every time that in my life that I had fallen in love, I gave away all of my own me, all of my own desires, all of my own the big dreams. I gave those up to maintain connection, which is not freaking fulfilling. So I was like, well, I want connection and I want to all those other things, but I don't want to lose myself in it.
What does that mean to give up yourself to not lose the connection? Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So much of what most of us do in life is to like get approval from others, or to, like if I wear this outfit, they might not like me. Or if I go and get that job, will it match what my partner wants their partner to be in life? Or for me, a lot of it was travel. Like, oh my God, if I go on that trip and my partner can't go with me, is he going to be mad? Is he going to be sad? Am I doing something to like make him feel bad, even though I'm just doing what I want to do? Like that was a big one. Well, another really big one was, well, he wanted 6 kids and I wanted none. So we compromised on 2. Love my children, but talk about a major life decision based on what somebody else wants so that I don't lose that connection.
Yeah. So you had this quote in one of your episodes. I was so focused on what a relationship was supposed to look like that I lost track of what it was supposed to feel like. And I thought that was just like such a powerful quote, because I think a lot of people, this happens. Like you're so focused on getting into a relationship and, checking those like life milestones and the marks. I know you mentioned abuse in the relationship. Not sure how much you want to get into, but like, can you give more depth of like what the difference was of like what you weren't feeling versus like what it looks like on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, outside looking in, we had like the perfect relationship, right? Like super in love. They do everything together. They're super cute together. They're successful. They got cute kids. They're doing all these cool things. She's an entrepreneur and he's supporting her. But in reality, I was constantly making myself smaller so that his insecurities wouldn't be activated, which would then cause him to be a real dick. And then, it was such a slow thing that I didn't realize how much smaller I'd made myself. And after we got divorced, friends and family were like, oh my God, like, Ellecia, you're so confident. You're so Ellecia. Like, I can't even believe that was happening to you. And I'm like, that was just like what was happening. I mean, like everything was lovely. We looked really great. But then at home, I was having like food thrown at me or being told that I was a slut before I had gotten married, which means that I'm just a bad person. And I would constantly kind of like how do I say this? Because I was trying to match the image that people had of us, I would excuse behavior that shouldn't have been excused. I would go, oh, well, maybe he is right. Maybe he is absolutely right. And there is something wrong with me because everyone else seems to like him and thinks that this is great. So maybe that's just how it actually is. In reality, I look back and I'm like, holy cow, I cannot believe I went through that, stuck around for that, because that's not who I am, but it's who I felt like I needed to be at the time.
So let's go back to the ending of that relationship, because I know the feeling of when you get all this external validation about your relationship, yet you're crumbling on the inside and how lonely that could feel, but also how hard it is to untether from that relationship because you're like, well, everybody else thinks we're perfect. I can't ruin their dream and their vision of who we are. So how were you able to end that 13-year marriage?
I think one, a switch had been flipped, right? Like I said, hey, things are not going well. We should separate. We should reevaluate this. And then he came back and said, oh, you're right. I have not been my best self. Let me work on this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then a couple of months later, we had a birthday party for him. And afterwards he goes, a couple of months ago, you said we should separate. And I've been thinking about that. And I think you're right. I think we should. I'm going to move into the basement tomorrow. And I went, okay.
Wow.
Sounds good. Which was not the response he had expected. I think he had been bluffing because then he spent the next several months trying to win me back. But it was like once I had that like him go, yeah, I was like, done. Great. Awesome. And then there was lots of guilt. It's really hard to kind of like stick to your guns, to hold to what is actually right for you when people are saying things like, but what about your family? What about your marriage? What about the kids? What about, he's trying really hard. I'm like, yeah, but he could have tried really hard 7 years ago or 8 years ago. Like, why now? There's been plenty of time. And to hold on to that is so freaking hard. Like, it's so hard because we have a whole culture that's like, you must get to the end of your relationship to be successful, which means that someone has died and now you're successful at a relationship. And that's insanity. Like, that's wild.
When you put it that way, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you're able to see this now, but like, in hindsight, do you think like this was always kind of the relationship you had? Do you think he changed over the course of the relationship? Or do you think that you were just so focused on like getting to the next milestone? And I guess, what was going on for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like both, right? Like we were 19 and 22 when we got together. So everybody changes, right? It's like, this is who he always was. This is how it always was. But it just slowly became more and more and more. And it's so slow that you don't notice it, right? It's like, I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm just not going to say how I really feel about this thing because it's not worth a fight. I know he'll be upset about it until I'm living my entire life just trying not to upset my partner, which holy cow, how many of us freaking do that? Like there were so many things. So it didn't start out that way, but it did start out very passionate and very intense. And it was always very intense, which felt really good at the time. Like, oh my God, this person really freaking loves me and they're really into me and this feels amazing. And then it'd be like one night, oh my God, he's really upset, just as passionately mad at me as when he loved me 12 hours ago. And then the next day, just as passionately apologizing. And so it was like lots of passion, lots of intensity in a really unhealthy way.
And I could see especially I think of all, this isn't like immune to anyone of any age, but I think especially when you're younger too, like that's what you see as romantic. Like that's what we see in rom-coms. And like if someone isn't so passionate, you're like, do they like me? Are they into me?
Yep. Turns out you can actually have all that passion without the ups and downs.
I know. It took me a long time to realize that as well.
Well, what a concept. Which brings us back to your quote, what a relationship should look like versus what it should feel like. Yeah. How did you arrive at what a relationship should feel like? Describe that feeling.
Gosh, that's a really good question. So that feeling for me is not a lot of ups and downs. It's a lot of stability, right? It's a lot of speaking my own thoughts, emotions, ideas, desires, wishes, and not feeling, I mean, sure, sometimes there's fear to say the things, but like not feeling like if I say this thing, I'm going to be in trouble or my relationship is going to end. More like if I say this thing, I might have to get into a whole conversation about it.
Right.
Which is a really big difference.
It is a big difference. And I think like I can totally relate to that. Like I think back in other partnerships or just maybe when I didn't do as much self-work, like I thought anything I said would like derail the relationship. So therefore I didn't say anything. And then in my current relationship, yes, it's hard to break things up because you're right. You're not going to just be able to ignore it after. But like I know like we can work through it. And there is a big difference of like the hard that comes with both of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So none of that intensity is what you're saying. Like the intensity you felt in your previous marriage is not something you're chasing after in a relationship.
Nah. And I like intense. I am someone who is super overindulgent and I want to have all of the experiences, all the flavors, all of the feelings, but the flip side of that is the big anxiety and the big fear and the big feeling unsure. I don't want that. So everything else has to kind of level out a little bit too.
I mean, there's also like the school of thought, like your partner should be like a safe place so you can kind of experience that stuff that comes in other parts of life. Like you could have the experiences, or even if you have stressors in job, like in your career, it's not coming from your partner. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have an eventful life if you're with someone that's more stable.
Yeah.
I can see people, and maybe you went through this. You're like, okay, well, I found the person, I have kids. On the outside, I have it all. And maybe I should be grateful for this. Like I'm asking too much, like to turn and ask for something else. Did you ever go through thought process like that?
Oh yeah. Who am I to want more than this? Like it's not that bad. It's who am I to want even more than all the things that I have? But like, I don't know. We're really taught to settle. And that there's like scarcity. Like, oh my God, if you find a decent partner, one that's good enough, why would you ever give that up for the potential of having something even better? And being someone who's polyamorous, and I don't have to give that up now to also have more, I see this like abundance of great people. I mean, there's plenty of terrible people out there. And
like, just for the record, I'm not saying that.
Yeah. And there are so many really great people as well. And so this idea that like we have to compete for that like one decent partner that's good enough and checks enough boxes. Like, no, you can have all the things.
I'm really glad you said that. And I think people should like rewind and listen to that again, because I think that's something that we hear a lot, that people get discouraged. Like there's no one good out there. And like, I like what you said, like, yeah, there are shitty people out there. Let's acknowledge that. No one's diminishing that. But also there's a lot of amazing people out there. And we always say that too, like when people complain about apps, and then like in our Facebook community, but we're like, all of you guys are on apps. All of you are amazing people. So that's proof that there are amazing people out there. And it's our job to just not let these bad eggs like derail us from finding these good people.
So how did you get from being in a marriage with someone who was not the right fit for you? And I would say, well, being an abusive relationship, so someone not great, to then arriving at polyamory as the answer. Because people can go one of two ways. One way most people go is fuck everybody. Like I don't need anybody. Like I don't want to go through that again. But what you did was open the door for more people and more options. So how did you arrive at that?
I was really horny.
Simple answer.
Love the honesty. You're like, I'm not even going to try to make this poetic answer. Yeah.
I was 35 years old, had a handful of orgasms in my life. And I was like, I want like, on top of like wanting all the love and security and all the good things, I was like, I want to have like, I feel like there could be more pleasure available. And so I started studying and researching how to have more pleasure. And that kind of led me down a path to where I wound up becoming a sex, love, and relationship coach. In that, I was like, I don't want to we do this thing where we go, here's someone who's like, I'm having fun sex with, or I'm having a great connection with. I don't want to lose this. So this is it. I'm going to hold on to this. And I was like, but like, what if there's more? Like I did that thing and like had like a long-term relationship, and then sex kind of went meh, and then kept trying to rekindle it, and for, lots of reasons. But I was like, I want more. I don't want to be told that I can't have the things that I want. I don't want to be told that I have to settle. And I did not know what polyamory was. Had no idea. I'd never heard of it. And I had heard of swingers, which seemed really weird. And I was like, but when people are just dating, they just date multiple people. Like that seems normal to me. I was like, so I'll just like be slutty and be honest with people about what I'm doing, because that just seems like the right thing to do. And then I started meeting people who were also non-monogamous. And I was like, oh, this is a thing that people do? Like actually? Like this isn't just an idea I had? And then it was like a couple of weeks later, I met my second husband. Wow. At the time, I didn't think he was going to be, but he was like, oh, I'm polyamorous. I'm dating this couple. My real love, like my very first true love, lives several states away. And I was like, polyamory? I don't know. Isn't that like a cult or something? I don't understand. I was like, nah. I was like, but like, I'll go on a date with you. And then after that date, he was like, God, you're everything I've been looking for. And I was like, Nope, absolutely not. I am not. 100% no. And he's like, no. Don't get me wrong. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Date, sow your oats, never stop. Like, what you're doing is amazing. Keep doing it. And also, I want to continue to be in your life while you do that. And I was like, that seems kind of hot. I'm into it for maybe a little bit. And then within a few months, I was in love.
How long have you been married? And like, how long did it take you to like get to that place that you're like, oh, I see you different?
Our 9-year wedding anniversary was a couple, like 2 weeks ago. We've been together 11 years.
Nice.
And we've never been monogamous together.
Great. Okay. Love it. So we have in our audience, I would say the majority of them are monogamous or looking for monogamous relationships. We do have some poly folks or poly-curious folks. So this is definitely, I'm sure, interesting to those people especially. But for the more monogamous people, because I do think this concept of designing the right relationship for you does not end, like it completely applies to monogamy, in my opinion.
Yes.
What are some ways that like you can look at other shoulds in the relationship and figure out how to design something that works for you and your partner instead of just like conforming to the way relationships should be?
Yeah. So the first thing, and anytime I like people who are non-monogamous, polyamorous, whatever, monogamous, like doesn't matter the structure. Anytime someone comes to me, the first thing I have them do is define monogamy. Because nobody has the same definition.
Right.
Does that mean you only have sex with one person in your life? One person at a time? One person a day? Like nobody has the same definition. Does it mean that we only have sex with each other, but we're allowed to cuddle with our friends? Or does it mean that we make out with people and only have intercourse with each other? Or does it mean that are monogamous except for if we're in different zip codes? Everybody has a different definition of what that means. And I think if you start there, that's the very first place to start creating a relationship that actually works for you. Because we all kind of think that we're all coming from the same place. Like we all know what it means, right? The number of times I've seen people say things like, well, you know what you did wrong. No, I don't. I was just talking to a friend. What did I do wrong? You made me feel jealous. Never do that thing that makes me feel jealous, which now means like we just live in a box and never look at anybody outside of our house. And those don't really work for most people. So first, what does monogamy mean to each of you? What did it look like when you were growing up? What did it look like in your family and your culture, in the media that you watched, right? And then like, what were the, like, really get into it. What feels like crossing the line for you? And I think people think if they have that conversation that they're like setting rules for each other, but like you can both come with your own ideas and then create the like middle ground.
I love that setting expectations, because everybody does have a very different definition of what even infidelity looks like.
Yeah.
What does flirting look like? What is okay flirting and what is not okay flirting? So having aligned definitions that you get to create together is such an important foundation. What I do find extremely unique about your story, Ellecia, is that you started out non-monogamous. Most of the couples that we've interviewed on our show start out monogamous and then they open up their marriage or open up their relationship. You started out polyamorous with your now husband. What did that conversation look like of asking because obviously you didn't come to the table saying, what does monogamy mean to you? But how did you define the rules and the boundaries?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, 11 years in, they're very different than they were 11 years ago. Because we went through several iterations, and a lot of it was both of us were kind of figuring out what relationships meant for us, what we wanted out of a relationship. So there were a lot of conversations about that. And then, we had like these ideals. Both of us had our ideal, like this would be great. For me, it was like, I want to have sex with people. I'm so excited. And for him, it was like, I love everybody. He was he has the biggest polyamorous heart. I mean, he also wanted to have sex with people, but he was just really like, he's like, I fall in love with people and I never stop loving them. And I was like, ew, I hate that.
You're like, I just want to bang. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, no, I just want to I just want to do the fun part. I don't want the emotional part. Stop it. Stop making me feel jealous and insecure and possessive.
Yeah.
Damn it. I guess I have to deal with that. Okay. Even though we started out open, I don't think it was necessarily easier because we still had to figure out what are the things that make us feel insecure? What are the things that help us build security in our relationship? What are the things that, what are our agreements, not just around relationships, but like sexual safety, time spent with people, and it shifted a lot. Like we started out kind of like having threesomes with friends. And then I took him to a swingers club for his birthday. And then he fell in love with our neighbor. And then, it was just like this progression of different ways of relating. So it's changed a lot. Lots of talking.
I think that's important to point out, though, because like any long-term relationship, things are going to change. Even if you're like stay monogamous or whatever it is, like that doesn't mean that like life is going to stay the same way for 30, 40, 50 years or however long you're together. I guess like outside of just monogamy, non-monogamy, like sexual encounters and relationships. What about like the shoulds around kind of how you operate a relationship? Because we see this a lot, that when someone's like, I want a relationship, that could mean one thing to one person and something totally different to another. Like one person could be like, I see you once a week. And the other person's like, we spend every day together and every second together. We're constantly messaging. How do you help people like figure out and work with a partner to be like, okay, what is our relationship?
That's really good, because as you were saying that, I was thinking like, gosh, there's the beginning of a relationship where we want all of this person. We want more, give me more, right? That new relationship energy. And then as it settles in, it's like, and actually I want to like live my life as well. What that makes me think of is how often people say, well, that's not what you said you wanted. Right? We make these agreements based on what we think we want. We go, I want to be monogamous. I want us to spend all of our time together. I want us to have kids and a dog and a white picket fence. And then 5 years later, you're like, well, I want to hang out with my friends. And actually, I only want the one kid because that was a lot. And I'm tired of picking up dog poop. So let's not get another dog. We can't have a white picket fence because we sure as fuck can't afford that in this economy. So, and then to have your partner go, but that's not what you said you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you have to constantly reevaluate. It's so important to keep coming back, because as much as we think like I know everything about this person that I'm relating with, You don't, because they're a new person today. They're different than they were yesterday. They had different life experiences. And when you have life experiences, you learn what you liked and what you didn't like and what you want to keep doing and what you don't want to keep doing. So you have to keep coming back and going, okay, now today, what do you want?
So that sounds, I mean, obviously I 100% agree in terms of like people are always changing, but like I can also see it from the other person's perspective of like, but I wanted 2 kids and now you're saying you only want 1. How do you navigate those types of relational growth and change?
Right. While staying true to yourself and like who you really are and what you really desire. It's hard. I think that's probably one of the most magical things about relationships is that they aren't just easy. You don't just fill out an order form at the beginning and then that's what you get for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like that would be really freaking boring.
Right.
So here's something I like to think of. Like, what is your North Star? Like, what is your like most truest desire, like the deepest, most important, like what are your shared values? What is the thing that keeps you together when things are hard? Besides, I made a commitment. And then going, okay, now what underneath that is flexible, right? What underneath that North Star, what are all the things that come below that are flexible or have wiggle room, or what do we not see as options, right? Because you only know what you know. If you don't see what all of the options are. And so you're going, well, I don't want to tell him that I don't want to move, but he wants to move. So I'm not going to tell him because then I will be making life harder on him or not giving him the thing he wants. But if I just actually say the thing and then he'll come back and be like, oh God, I don't want to move either. I just thought you did. Right. Like you have to talk about all the things because you actually don't know what your partner is going to say or what they're going to think. You think you do, but you don't.
That's a good point about it. Because like clearly there could be a misalignment if one of you still wants the 2 kids and one has 1, but also you don't know, like maybe they've changed their mode too because people are always changing. That's a really good thing to point out.
Yeah. Or maybe they're like, oh yeah, I don't want 2 kids now because like we have 7 nieces and nephews that are over all the time.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's another piece there that wasn't talked about before because it didn't exist.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
So here's a little bit of that unwiring that I'm still trying to do in my mind is I was always taught that in relationships, there are some things you do for your partner that you may not want to do, but it is in service of your partner. And I'll give you an example. This is not my example, but in a partnership, maybe one person is like, I really need to take one big trip a year. And the other person's like, I really don't want to travel, but I'll do it for you because that's what makes you happy. And then because I know that when I go to that football game once a year, you come with me, not because you want to, because it makes me happy. So where do you draw the line of, I also want to be in service of my partner and satisfy their needs, but is there a boundary of, well, I really don't want to do that, so I shouldn't be obligated to do it?
Yeah, I do agree that like we always have to, no, we don't have to. We can choose to compromise and push outside our comfort zone or do things that we just don't want to do. And I think the line is at the point that it becomes self-sacrifice, where you are sacrificing a part of who you are, your authentic part of you, and overriding your own boundaries.
Right.
Like you're true, like this is who I am and this is important to me. That's where the line is.
Right. Like if you go to one football game, you're probably not like overriding your boundaries. But let's say like every weekend. You
sacrificed a couple hours.
Yeah. But like every weekend, that's all the person wanted to do and you had no life anymore, then it could get different.
Yeah.
Or you're just really against concussions. And you're like, I can't support a sport where concussions are, at every game. Yeah, I guess it comes back to your value system too.
Yeah, or it's really loud and overwhelming and I get sensory overwhelm and I feel really bad for 3 days afterward. Things like that are a really important consideration, right? Like I had a partner who would, anytime we bought concert tickets, we'd say, hey, do you want to go to the concert with us? And she'd be like, yeah, I'll go. Like, I don't really want to go. I don't care about that band, but I want to go and be with you. And the experience I wound up having was of having people with me that weren't enjoying themselves, that didn't actually want to be there. And I felt like, well, if I leave you here to go up front and really just enjoy this music, then you're going to be left alone. So now I'm not enjoying this show the way I wanted to enjoy it. You're not enjoying it because you never were going to enjoy it in the first place.
Right.
You just wanted to be with me. So I set a boundary. I said, look, I'm not inviting people to concerts with me that don't actually want to go to that concert because they like that artist or they are open to like, I want to experience this. I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to buy 2 tickets and I'm going to pick someone to go with me who actually wants to be there rather than just because we're partners and we should do everything together. And now I have so much better experiences.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And then you can also be like, okay, what do they enjoy? And let's find another activity. Like it's not like I'm never going to see this person again because of that.
Yeah. We did so many fun things that weren't that thing that she didn't enjoy.
This is what's so enticing about polyamory, honestly, because you have multiple partners who have varying interests that you can probably, one likes a concert, one likes sushi, one likes travel, and you can hang out with everybody. But in a monogamous relationship, what advice would you give to people who, I don't know, like know that their partner can't satisfy all these needs? What do you do?
Hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to have other people in your life. Yeah.
I do.
Seriously, I think the most important thing you can do to create relationships that are going to last a long time and work for you is have community.
Yeah.
We have this culture that is very isolating that says like your partner has to be everything for you. You handle all your problems internally, you all your joys internally, like everything internally. And there's this hierarchical structure of this one person has to do everything with you. And you have to have all the same hobbies and joys and food likes, like all the things. But that is even if they are wonderful, it's still very isolating. You need people outside of that to go have fun with, to vent about things with, to support both of you if something happens in your relationship. You know, say one of you gets sick, you need support people, you need community. Honestly, community and having friendships and family and whatever you can build outside of the relationship is the most important part.
I mean, I'm all for friends. I literally have like 9 bridesmaids. So like friendship has been a very strong pillar for me for many years and well into my relationship. That being said, I feel like my partner is more introverted. I think we see this a lot with guys and like all my friends, their partners are more friends with each other and they don't have as big of community. And this is something very common. One thing that's worked for me, obviously, it's him continuing to reach out and hang out with people, but also he's okay doing things alone. And like, for instance, like I like going to concerts with him, but he's the driver of that. Like he's the one that's the real passion. So I'd say for every 3 concerts he goes to, I probably go to 1. So I think it's like finding that balance too. Like I think, yes, in an ideal world, you have community, but also want to like point out for anyone that's like doesn't, because we do have listeners write in that are like, yeah, all cool to like have friends, but like I don't have any. So I think there are different ways though that you can like build kind of that time apart. And that doesn't mean like you're now living a separate life from the other person, unless you both decide to do that. By all means, go for it. But I think it's finding like ways that you don't drain each other either.
Yep, 100%. And that's just it, right? We have a whole society of isolated people that like don't have their own friend groups. It's not like nobody is alone in that, actually.
Right.
It's a whole lot of lonely people going, I got to find one person to fill all my holes, figuratively. And or
in a fantasy. That was your North Star.
I do think though, pushing people like or pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to meet new people, even when you're in a relationship, though, is really important. Whether that's spouses, friends, or going to a meetup or engaging with coworkers, whatever that might be, I think that helps you like have a more well-rounded life for sure.
Yeah, or volunteering, or you know, like just finding something that is anything that is not a shared all the time experience.
Right, or your own hobby. Like there's many ways to do this.
Totally.
And you mentioned that you were balancing emotions of jealousy and insecurity when you first enter this relationship, as we all do in all relationships, how have you been able to overcome those feelings? Or I guess maybe not even overcome, but navigate those feelings? Because what if, in those examples that we just gave, you really like doing something with your partner and you find out that he's actually sharing that experience with someone else? Like, how would you navigate something like that?
So yeah, I've always been a very jealous and possessive person, which I think is why I was monogamous for so long. Because I was like, that's uncomfortable. I don't like that. And it's taken me a long time to work through all of that. And probably my favorite tool, my favorite way to figure out what to do in those kinds of situations is to take the romance out of it. Instead of thinking about this person as my partner, and now I'm feeling jealous or envious that they're doing that with someone else, is thinking of them as my friend. Right? Like, my friend is going to a concert with another friend. I'm envious. I'd love to go, but like, have fun. I hope it's amazing.
Right. Especially if it's something you don't like to do.
Yeah. Versus like, my partner is doing a thing and now I feel left out and abandoned and rejected. I try to take anytime I'm having a hard feeling, I take the romance out of the equation and go, how would I feel if this were my buddy, if this were my best friend?
But I think the same feelings come up. Like, Julie, you've definitely, you don't like the feeling being left out, even with your friends. Same. How do you get over that feeling? Because what if your partner is doing something that you truly love to do, but with someone else?
Yeah, it's easier if you don't like to do it.
Yeah,
so like I can justify it.
Yeah,
oh, they're off playing tennis, cool. You know,
or like they're having a dinner party with some of your mutual friends, and you're not invited. What do you do? I feel left out.
I lay on the floor and cry.
That's what I would do.
Maybe, well, for a minute. Yeah, that's so real, right? Like, that's such a normal experience to have. But I think what's important is to know that, like, that doesn't mean something bad about you. It doesn't have to mean you are now going to be alone and never invited to another thing for the rest of your life. And then I go and find something fun to do. Whether that's like watching a movie and embroidering with my dog, or going
your dog
out.
Embroiders? Wow. I'm so impressed.
He really helps keep track of everything for me.
Yeah. And I assume too, like, you would talk to your partner. Like, let's say, I'm just using this dinner party example. If that was something you felt left out of, maybe there would be a new kind of boundary of like, these are the types of things we potentially talk about or do together. Or like, how would you approach it with someone? Or would you just be like, that is their thing?
Now what I would do, I would say I had a lot of FOMO. I hate missing out. I felt left out. And if the opportunity comes up that I can be invited next time, I would love that. Like, I want you to know I would love to be there. But also, like, you're not bad or in trouble or
right.
You know, you aren't losing me because of that.
I like that. But you're telling someone that, like, your desire actually is to be included.
Yeah.
So they know that for next time.
Yeah. But also, I don't want to be included just because I threw a fit. I want to be included because you want me there.
Right. No, that's a really good way to do it. I'll remember that even with friends.
If the opportunity comes up, I'd love to be invited.
Yeah. Noted. But you're not in trouble. Like, I'm not calling you out for anything. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I would like to be included next time.
Yeah.
I think that piece is important because, one, we hate hurting people that we care about. We don't want to feel bad. We don't want to feel like we did something wrong, right? We don't want to get in trouble. And so then we wind up that's how we go down the path of doing things we don't actually want to do. Well, I'm just going to invite them every time because even though this would probably, this friend group doesn't match with this friend group, I don't want to be the one that anybody's mad at. So I'm just going to smash them all together.
Right.
Yeah.
So your household now is you, your husband, and triad partner. Is that correct? Or is that outdated?
That's a little bit outdated.
Okay. Thanks, ChatGPT.
A little bit outdated. Thank you. So now my husband, myself, we actually both have other partners that stay over a couple times a week. And then also our 3 kids. Who are all teenagers.
Was there ever a triad partner? Or is that like completely false? Okay. Yeah. So ChatGPT didn't get it totally wrong. They just were not up to date.
Yeah. Our girlfriend lived with us for part-time for 7 years. And now because her and my husband have actually split up. So,
Okay.
so she doesn't live with us anymore, but she's still definitely around.
Got it. And you said 3 kids?
And we have 3 kids. Yeah.
Okay. And then how many of those were from the first marriage?
Well, so all of them, actually.
All of them.
So
Okay.
I have 2 and he has 1.
I see.
And
Okay.
the oldest 2 are the same age. They're a month apart, and they were like 5 when we got together.
Okay. So I guess this is a selfish question that I will ask you because it's top of mind for me.
Yeah.
I feel like children is another element of a lot of shoulds of like, now I should be living my life a certain way. I should be doing this. I should be not doing this anymore. How did you kind of like design a life that works for you with kids in mind as well, instead of just falling into like the norm or things that didn't feel authentic to you? Because it feels hard.
It is hard. It's so hard. And the thing I always remind myself of is that what is best for the parent, not what the parent wants, but what is best for the parent is best for the kids. Right? Children who have happy parents live happier lives. Children who have parents who are abandoning themselves, overriding their own boundaries, putting up with bad behavior, that's the example they're setting. That's what they're teaching their children to do in their life.
Yeah. I like that.
That's what I constantly come back to, is what is best for the parent is what's best for the kids.
Which is so odd if you think about it, because what is that stat? Like 73% of married people stay together because of kids. Yet they're probably unhappy and setting a bad example for the kids, and the kids can sense the dissatisfaction in the household. We're trying to do the right thing, but in turn doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's why we have a relationship problem today, where nobody knows how to have a good relationship, because most people have not had a good example.
So we talk a lot about conscious relationships and conscious dating and building that with your partner, having check-ins, constantly reevaluating like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But then when you have kids in the picture and life becomes busier and there's less time to devote to like nurturing your relationship, how do you and your partner navigate this?
So hard.
That's gonna be the title of this episode. It's hard.
So hard.
I don't know. I feel like people need to know that. Like, I always tell people the hard parts about having kids, because I love my kids. My kids are freaking awesome. They are so good. And also, it's not all cake and bubbles and fun. Like, it's hard work. And so you have to do things like set boundaries, like actually put the kids to bed on time so that you have time with your partner, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have boundaries with the kids as well, because you have to be able to make time. And again, have community. You have to find it somehow. That should be a priority, because raising kids in a bubble and not having somebody to babysit, not having someone to hang out with the kids while you have a conversation with your partner, not having just multiple people having influence on kids, is hard on everyone. It's hard on everyone. So that's one of the things actually that I love about being polyamorous and having multiple relationships and multiple really loving, caring, long-term adults in my kids' lives. They have multiple people that they can go to. They have multiple safe people that they can call up. They have people that will hang out with them, that will give them advice, that will give them different perspectives. As they're teenagers now, each of my kids have different people that they go to for life advice. And they have that because I have held true to what was right for me in relationships and creating communities that support my family unit. Mm-hmm. It's really important. And again, it's not easy.
I've definitely seen that with some of my friends that are monogamous. So it's not even poly situations, but they have a lot of friends. They'll have them over. They'll be like, okay, we're going to have back in the day, maybe they could just like go out and do whatever. And clearly that's not the case anymore. But they'll be like, we're going to have a barbecue, like, come on over. And then like there's other kids there. There's other adults there. And the kids like are part of it. But we're not like focusing and like revolving the whole experience around the child either. And I actually see that those kids tend to be happier, even though
Yeah.
like they're getting quote unquote less attention. And of course, I'm saying all this as like non-parent. So like maybe one day I'll be like the total opposite. Who knows? But like, I feel like to me, watching and observing, I'm like, this is such the way to go over like my life is now ruled by my child.
Yep. 100%. Kids learn through experience and observation. Watching adults have healthy relationships is how kids learn how to have healthy relationships.
Yeah, I've actually read somewhere that in the school system, they're asking teachers to ask different questions to the kids now. Before, it's always like, tell me about your dad, tell me about your mom. Now it's tell me about the female figures in your life, tell me about the influential male figures in your life. So the kids can start elevating the roles of the other people, not just everything on their parents. And we also know many households, they're maybe not a dad or a mom, a traditional mom. So have the kids define who those roles are. I find that fascinating. But to your kids, if we were to ask them to explain your marriage to us, what would they say? How would they describe it?
Oh, that's a really good question. It depends on the kid.
Let's say the oldest
most
one.
vocal one, they describe it, I've heard them describe it as that they have 3 moms and 2 dads.
Mm.
And then people are like, what? And they're like, well, yeah, my dad has 2 partners that are both my mom, and then my biological mom, and then my stepdad. But they don't talk about, like, I don't think any of them really describe our relationship as anything. Like, it just kind
So
of
they don't
is.
use like poly. They don't use open or poly or any of those words.
They might. Like, I know the one kid says, yeah, my parents are polyamorous.
Probably is
I
like
don't think the
teens
other
more.
ones.
Yeah.
My son, I know he has come home and been like, oh, my friends think you're the mom from Sex Education. But like I don't think they really describe it. It just is.
Yeah.
What are some tools that like you and your partners still use today to like create this authentic relationship? Anything tangible that you can maybe leave our audience?
Google Calendar.
We've heard that from so many people.
Okay, let's see here. Checking in all the time. How did that feel? How did that, is there anything I could do differently next time? Always reevaluating. God, it's just so much of it is just really talking about all the things, which was not my experience in my first marriage. It was a lot of assumption, a lot of just going along to get along, and then sweeping arguments or just anything that we might not get like agree on, sweeping it all under the rug and just kind of brushing it over, which is what I see a lot. So it comes back to like a lot of communication and a lot of talking. Even like really unpolished communication, if we like don't know the right thing to say, and just saying, I don't know what the right thing to say here is, so here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. No,
That's
I mean,
important.
this conversation has been so interesting. I mean, I think there's a few takeaways I have. I think one is that it never ends. Like there's always constant development and growth of your partner. And I think this conversation helped me reset expectations of like expecting to be adaptable instead of like thrown off course when that happens. Like, I think that's just like the only thing we can control is understanding that things are going to change, and how do we work together to change and grow together instead of get to a stage of like, wait, you wanted this and now you don't. And is this relationship over because of that? I think that's when things fall apart. I think also my other big takeaway, I mean, I can see this even like living and breathing in a relationship, just like the need for over communication a lot of times. Like I think I've gone through a lot of different stages of what communication means. And I would also say maybe a takeaway is, like you discussed, defining monogamy, defining communication, because it's such a broad word. And I think like, you know, back in the day before I was like in a serious relationship, I thought communication was just like texting and like being in contact. And then I thought like, oh, it's like discussing conflict. And now I'm like, okay, it's that too. It's still communicating and making plans. It's all of those, but it's also just like small things too of like misinterpretation happening and being able to like voice that so we get ahead of it. And it could be as simple as like, oh, I thought our plan today was X, Y, and Z, and like actually talking through what that's going to be. Like things that sometimes I'm like, oh, this seems obvious. I've had to reframe and be like, actually, we need to talk about it. And that's okay.
Nothing is obvious.
Right. Nothing is obvious. Maybe
Nothing.
that's the takeaway. Nothing is obvious.
Oh, isn't that the truth? I find that with my parents too, just communicating with them because I'm like, they know me. They're my
Yeah.
parents, or I know them so well. And everything's like this default thinking. And then when I actually ask questions, I get surprised all the time. I had no idea my mom felt this way, or I didn't know my dad was feeling this way. So it's a good practice for everybody in our lives. And I think I have two surprising thoughts that came out of this conversation. The first one is not as surprising, but it's more clear to me now that the key to a successful relationship really is safety. Like from everything we've talked about today, it's about safety. And I think we've spent so many years researching on how to keep the spark alive.
Yes.
That who the fuck cares if you don't feel safe in a relationship? The spark comes from feeling safe with your partner. And I think in a non-monogamous relationship, that safety is even more amplified and it has to be communicated even more. So I appreciate this over communication so that you can reach a level of safety with your partner, both physically and psychologically. The second kind of surprising thought I just had as we're talking about all of this is a relationship can really work in an incubator, in a bubble, but it may not work in a community. And because we're in such an isolated world right now, that we might need to do more exposure of our relationships to a community. That may actually be the answer to this love crisis that we're feeling. And I know in my last relationship, it worked out so well during COVID because it was just the two of us. And the moment we exposed us to the environment, it kind of fell apart because we didn't know how to relate to the environment around us. So in a beginning relationship, in dating, I'm not saying like go take your date go out with your friends and like take your date or anything like that. But I think it is okay to expose your partner to your immediate circle a little bit sooner. And then start hanging out and integrating them more. Because I think that is what we're really wanting right now is just like not feeling so isolated as a couple.
Yeah. I remember like when I first started dating my fiance, there was a trip I had booked to Sonoma that was like, I was literally going to be like the fifth wheel by myself or seventh wheel. And I was like, F it, I'm just going to invite him. And I was like questioning, like, is it too soon? It's something I would never have done in the past. And I think like it was actually really good to do it because it showed you that, this person is vibing with people. Or if they weren't vibing, you would have information that you could at least like, doesn't mean you have to break up with them on the spot, but at least you'd have that to know and see how you move forward.
It's amazing.
Well, so good.
Thank you so much. This has been such a good perspective, I think, for all of our listeners, no matter if you're monogamous, non-monogamous, curious, whatever is going on for you. Like there's a lot here if you are looking for, a deep, conscious relationship. This is an episode that I think people need to listen to multiple times.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Ellecia, if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
Yeah. My podcast is Nope, We're Not Monogamous, and it's on all the podcast places. And you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Ellecia Paine. And my website's ElleciaPaine.com. All those places.
Awesome.
I'm everywhere.
And you can listen to Yue and I on the podcast as well as your gateway episode. Or if you're sick of hearing our voices, you could listen to any other episode. Whatever works for you.
Just don't tell us. Just don't tell us if you're sick of hearing our voices.
Tell us you started with ours. Yeah.
Fabulous. We're going to wrap up this episode. Stay dateable.
If you're a podcast host listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.